So then I have been getting some private messages from new friends who are confused about what to do. And this dilemma was voiced by Mariam too when we told her about the projects to be doing something besides reading and discussing the books discusses. So she asked me what else she could do. She asked for advice. In fact, she set up the activities in the Congo on the basis of what is the corporation is doing and has been doing for a very long time. That's a fact. So a transition that you are talking about is slow in coming, and in some cases may not come at all. Does it mean that some of their activities that are unrecorded in their daily lives, they don't count towards qualifying them to stand in the light of the new presentation? Yeah, because you talk about your intention to go down to Africa there, or go over to Africa and even live in a tree. And these Africans are already doing that, and they are contented with it, whatever difficulties they are facing. So there are other undocumented events in their daily lives where they demonstrate resourcefulness, self-support, and the ability to live in the easiness of life. In fact, most people almost live moment to moment as a way of life. So do all these efforts count for naught? Because maybe they are not brought to our attention on Facebook, on Twitter, and other social media platforms. And I also want to think that water seeks its level. And so some people can only do what they can do at this moment until they have the inner perception that they can do more without anyone actually asking them. And I want to think that some people may become disappointed and in some cases exasperated by what I may call some demands on them and their inability to perform as expected. And they may feel that they aren't any good, that they aren't good enough for the new presentation. And then could be disappointed and maybe believe. So what do you think about this?
That's a big question, isn't it? And yes, for all we've gone through, and including all the lifetimes up until now, yes, we deal with the environment here, and the earth has gotten a lot worse, and it's just going to keep doing so because certain people decide it, and each person has to deal with it. I just take a look at, as an example, I take a look at, from this side and the real side, and it's all the same. It's choice. And it's really not about anyone being obligated to anything. That's not the idea. It's just, it's really very simple. Yes, you people are doing what you're doing. We're doing what we're doing. We're doing something. It's just that as you bring the people together, like here, I've seen it, and then there becomes, like Miriam had the group as an example for several years, and it was a routine, like in the corporation, like in religion, and whatever. And yeah, you start off with something. It's like you have a car, and you drive it back and forth to work every day. But then once in a while, you take a trip somewhere else. You go see something. Ava there with her family, they used to take trips all the time, and they hardly had any money. They were struggling all the time, but they just barely made it. But they took little fun trips and did different things. The idea is it's like a family. What we're creating here, I see this, and this is why I call, this is why I started the new kids and whatever, because we're really all kids. We really are. And you watch children, what they do. They don't consider anything. They just go do something every day. They just get up and they just go do something. They try to figure something out. So all I was saying is that, yeah, it's really none of these attitudes and all the things that we've come to know. These are the old ideas that we've come to know. And yeah, you do your basic survival. You just survive. But at the same time, as you have the group and you're learning about this isness. Now, the important thing that I see, but this is up to each person. I work off of, like I've said many times, I work off of gratitude. My position, my being is gratitude and pure sincerity. Very sincere with what I do, and I see the is what it is. But this is endless. And putting the idea out there, it's for the new presentation or whatever, that's not it either. So again, we just do whatever we do. And when I was in the corporation, I did things, basically, it was called spreading the message, because I liked doing it, because it was part of my adventure. It was a challenge. And it's not about, here we are, all of us and in Africa, you have all this experience, and then you wonder what to do. Well, as I've suggested many times, just simply do something different. Get the group together as one example and go outside and draw trees, okay, and color them in, whatever. Do something different to where you have fun and it holds the group together. Just like here, what we're doing is that it started off as an example. Kelsey and Henry got together. We talked about this, Kelsey and I. It's like, okay, well, Henry's working. Well, let's see if he will buy the John Ellis machine. And from there, now we're doing the water. Okay, they're growing microgreens because that's what they're into. They're simply doing something that they usually don't do. And we don't have groups here because we already have the Skype, but we're together doing this. All I'm saying is that the basic idea is that, does it make more sense? Does it make sense to keep people together, you might say, so that they can support and assist and learn from each other? Or would it be that they just go back to what they used to know in their old routines and fall back into them, just like they have other lifetimes, and they forget? Because it's harder on your own. I know. I've struggled a lot of years. I know. I was fine. But the thing is that I see it's more of a struggle. And especially now with the isness life is. The old ideas of God, religion, spiritual, all those ideas that go with all of that are so easy to just go back into. And see, the thing is that the isness life is all aware. It is aware of everything, but at the same time, it doesn't support those things that do not have any value, that do not have any benefit. That's the difference. And this is what people don't see, is that they go along with these cute ideas, thinking that, oh, I'm doing this and I'm spiritual and whatever. Just like, this is why I use the example of Marjorie as she passed over. And you see the corporation did not even acknowledge her at all. And she's supposed to be somebody special, an eighth initiate, someone supposedly God realized, which means nothing anymore. It's lucky if you make it past the lower astral realm and all the reptilians, because she hasn't. She's there. I'm trying to show the examples, and that is that it's not that people are just going to go there. No, it's their association. But as they associate with others that are tap line with these things, they don't see what's going on. And so this is an interesting journey. There's no special way to do it. I just continually look every moment at what to do that makes sense with what's going on in this world, especially as it's being destroyed. So again, you know, when people say, gee, I don't know what else to do, that's a little bit funny, isn't it? I mean, really. I mean, look at yourself or anybody. Again, we had a talk yesterday, and I would do anything different. I sat down and wrote the books. I suggest people sit down and write their story, write a story about themselves or something different that they haven't done before and take on the challenge. That's all. And it's not a requirement. It's not an obligation. It has nothing to do with the new presentation. The new presentation is an idea that I've created as a reference for people. That's as far as it goes. It's not government. It's not the Vatican. It's not any institution or whatever. It's simply a reference as a benefit for people, not a hindrance. And see, when it's looked upon like that, then what people are doing is they're using their old views of burden, all the burdens that they've gone through, thinking that, oh, gee, well, the new presentation is the same. Just like when people come from religion or spiritual paths or whatever, they think, oh, this is all the same. Oh, the all is a God. You see, the old ideas are constantly drug along, old dead bodies. You know, when you really take the time to discover what the isness is, and it is an endless journey. It is so awesome and endless, but only the one person at a time can see it according to them. You will see that it's like nothing else, but yet it's everything. And so then you will know what to do. But other than that, yeah, the reason people question anything is because they don't see it. And do you want to see it? Or do you want to keep questioning? It is so subtle. But yet, again, take on the challenge of doing something you've never done before. What's the big deal? Okay? What's the big deal? Yeah, dress up as a tree and walk up and down the street like kids would do. You know, if I had children, we'd do fun little things together. Like I did with my daughter to a certain age, and then she decided for herself. Well, I stepped back. It was her choice. But again, when I hear this, it's like, and all these ideas around what I'm presenting, you know, Paul created the membership. He created obligations. I don't have any obligations. I present. This is all I do. I'm the presenter. I'm Duane, the presenter. That's all I am. That's all the new presentation is. That's why I called it the new presentation. Eckankar was the babysitter. Paul he had to create it that way. He had to obligate people. He had to get them to agree to the initiations and the ideas of that. And these people are so confused. You know, I'm going to pick on Mark Bernhardt here as one. You read his stuff. What a bunch of nonsense that he's giving out. And you know, Marjorie did the same thing. And Claudie and Sandy and others, I've seen her. I already knew that years ago Marjorie made the deal. It was more than obvious. Everybody demonstrates. But I wanted them to go in as the witness and see what's going on. She's with the reptilians. She was the great eighth initiate. She doesn't know where she's at. She has no idea, and she can't get out. And she won't ask Rebazar or Paul or myself or anyone else that's with this. No, because of her arrogance. And see, I'm not implying any of this. What it is that, again, look at the ideas that come through Charles. And yes, this is where you take the time, just like I do in the Skypes here, to explain all this. And what do I specify? We are not a religion. We are not politics. We are not spiritual. We're not scientific, whatever. Gee, do I have to go over everything? The thing is, we're not any of that. It's learning to recognize what is real and wonderful more so than anything. And that's the best part. We're at that point where we've come through all these lifetimes, and now we're in a society that has basically condemned itself with being literal. Everything is literal. And yes, people are agreeing to it. That's why they walk up and down the street just staring at their cell phone. They want to be literalized. And they will never see it. They're so self-convinced and literalized, just like Marjorie going over, just like all of them. We're going to have an interesting show on Monday. And I already told Claudia. Claudia and I are going over a lot of galactic stuff. And that is, we're going to have part 3 of your choices, etc. And it's going to be about what's going on with the corporation and the chemtrail pilots and the world, etc. So from the real side and the phantom zone. So just simply providing this to people, not that, oh, be scared and whatever. No, as a warning. Just like what's happening in California here. They're burning up California purposely with laser weapons. People have pictures of, they're all over. And what are people doing about it? It's not about resisting. It's about becoming more aware so you don't have to agree with the demise, but people still are. It's their choice. And I know it's hard. Okay, it's hard. That's it. It's impossible. It's basically impossible. But what are you going to do? Stay stuck with what the world is and how it sees itself? Because how the world sees itself, it continually is looking in the mirror at its own demise and saying, oh, this is okay. Oh, everything's fine. Every day people get up, look in the mirror, put their tie on, brush their teeth, comb their hair. Wow, it's a new day. Is it? Or is it the same old day with the same old attitudes? Yeah, all those attitudes that you just named there and so many more, Charles. Again, people are dragging old attitudes, relating to what they've been through. Okay, that's fine. But make it a book on the shelf. Make it a reference and not always every moment a reality. I just see myself as, when I go outside, I like going outside and I like to see the sky and the sun. And at the same time, I do whatever I do on the earth, but that's how I see myself. I don't carry attitudes with me. I look at, when I'm just riding my bike or what I'm doing outside, I look at, what we're doing, the vessel project on the real side. That's where it is for now because I don't have agreement. It's not about money. It's about agreement here. In other words, just like, Miriam's group or anything, it's agreement. And from my point of view, I don't want to see these things break up. I see all the time it took to put these things together. And as people go off on their own again, you might say, and yes, they have their personal life, whatever they do, they will just become absorbed. I saw it with my previous family, my friends, my girlfriends, all the people. They just go back and they go back into their routines and then they start to go back into future lifetimes. I've seen it on the real side. If that's what they want, hey, have fun. It is a struggle to get together. It's a struggle to get here, to take the time, to learn. Guess what? What is being presented here and all the years I've written and presented this is so minute compared to what is possible. But if people want to keep struggling, then don't take the time. It will seem that things are fine or we're doing what we're doing. Fine, then just do it. I continually try to, in some way present something because this is my adventure. And, as I talk to the people here, Kelsey and Henry and Val and whoever, little bits of understanding come in all the time. And we're constantly, we send out the water as an example, and we go to the water stores, and a lot of the packages through the post office have come back damaged. So Val and I are figuring ways to make the packages secure, or whatever the challenge is. And you see, just by doing the water, because the water leads to the trees, to the environment, and eventually we'll see who takes the next step to learn more, go beyond all of that, to implement all that, little at a time, but yet very quickly, because, again, it's paying attention to the world, and people are afraid. So, again, dragging the old ideas, Charles, that's the biggest burden. Just come in and start new, and just, if I had Miriam's class, and, yeah, you have your culture and environment over there, fine. I just get to class one day and walk outside, and let's just go outside and, bring your paper and pencil. Let's go draw trees, and let's go back and talk about it, and, see how it relates to your real side experiences or whatever. Something. You initiate something. If you initiate nothing, then everything stays the same. Just once in a while, you initiate that. Now, we've talked about this. I suggested this years ago, and here it's to the point where the group has become self-convinced as to what they have. Take a look at it. Is that what you want? Gee, I don't. I start something, I continually start something, just like they're starting the fires in Northern California. Hey, if they don't start the fires with their lasers, well, gee, there's no fire. But they just keep doing it, don't they? You see, they're very active. And so we can do anything that makes sense and has fun. Is fun, yeah. Something that, kind of makes a connection with this reality. Yes, we can all walk around and say, hi, neighbor, how are you? Gee, it's a lovely day, whatever. We do that every day. And things stay the same, and actually they don't. Everybody just grows old. That's it. Feeling good about themselves because they have nice neighbors. And then when they go to the astral worlds, they don't know where they're at. And so they come back here again. You want to go through this routine? Or do you want to take the risk and imply something that sometimes shocks people? Okay, shock yourself. That's what I look for. Sometimes to shock yourself and others and do something different. And yeah, even to where, like here, the neighbors talk about it, and they just stand back. It's like, well, this guy's strange. Fine. Whatever. But we don't do anything strange. We just do what everybody else does. But they know there's something about us that, they just can't quite figure it out. So it's whatever, Charles, but it's none of those old attitudes. Has nothing to do with the new presentation. The new presentation's like a little kid. We're just kids here. And it's so funny because the adults have become so fossilized, they can't see it. So what do? They just do their normal routines and contribute to the demise of the natural environment. But that's okay. That's okay. So again, it's choice, Charles. Every single moment, it's choice. Marjorie's a good example, and others. I could give you many examples, but for some people, it doesn't matter how many examples I give. They still don't get it. So you decide,